Think a rideshare accident works like a regular car crash? Not so fast. Rideshare drivers are considered independent contractors, which means getting compensation can be more complicated than with a typical car accident. Uber and Lyft have different insurance policies, in fact, depending on whether a driver was waiting for a ride, en route, or carrying a passenger. The Transportation Network Companies, the TNC, means an entity operating in this state pursuant to this section uses a digital network to connect a rider to a TNC driver, providing prearranged rides. The TNC is not deemed to own, operate, control, direct, manage the TNC vehicles or the TNC drivers that connect to its digital network, and is not a taxicab association. So in 2017, the TNC driver or TNC on behalf of the driver shall maintain primary automobile insurance that recognizes the driver is a driver for the TNC and uses a vehicle to transport riders for compensation and cover the driver while the driver is logged on to the digital network. The following automobile insurance requirements apply while participating TNC driver is logged on, but is not engaged in a prearranged ride. Automobile insurance provides that the primary liability coverage be at least $50,000 for death, bodily injury per person, and $100,000 total, and $25,000 for property damage. Personal injury protection benefits that meet the minimum requirements are also in play. Uninsured and underinsured coverage as required by the statute also have to be considered and may be satisfied when maintained by the driver of the car or the owner of the vehicle. Automobile insurance maintained by the TNC is a combination of the following. Automobile requirements apply while a TNC driver is engaged in a prearranged ride. The automobile insurance provides primary coverage of at least $1 million now for all the ones we had spoken of earlier. So in other words, there's two levels. You've got a $50,000 level if you're not with a passenger, and a $1 million level if you are with a passenger. And this is covered under the TNC, which is the name Florida uses for the digital system that connects these drivers. But the driver himself or herself is not the one providing the insurance in this case. Now, if the TNC's driver insurance has lapsed or does not provide the required coverage, the insurance maintained by the TNC must provide this coverage required under this subsection. If you're getting lost, that's why we're here to work with you in cases like this, because it is confusing, okay? Beginning with the first dollar of the claim, and they have a duty to defend such a claim. So they must consider whether there's any underlying coverage with the driver as well. So coverage under automobile insurance policy maintained by the TNC must not be dependent on a personal automobile insurer first denying a claim, or a personal automobile insurance policy is not required to first deny a claim. In the event of an accident, the TNC driver shall provide this insurance coverage information to any party directly involved in the accident and disclose to any party directly involved in the accident and investigating police officers whether they were logged on to the digital network. So in other words, you're in an accident with them, you can find out which policy applies right then and there, and they have to tell the officer as well. Remember, the TNC is an independent contractor, okay? It's not the same as being the driver in a normal automobile accident. The TNC does not prohibit the driver from using digital networks. The TNC does not restrict the TNC driver from engaging. The TNC driver agrees in writing that they are an independent contractor. These are elements that must be met in order for the TNC to be on the hook with their insurance policy. They even do background checks in these cases regarding all the drivers that they have, and they're to follow the rules before they allow them to drive. They must obtain or renew, or have a third party obtain and renew, a driving history and a research or report of the applicant, and the background checks that are required are done every 3 years. They may not authorize an individual to act as a driver on its digital network if the driving history report conducted when the individual first seeks access to the digital network reveals the individual has had more than 3 moving violations in the prior 3-year period. But a TNC is not liable under general law, being vicarious liability, which is something you find with employer-employee relationships. So if you're in an accident with a vehicle that maybe is owned by a company, and maybe it's the electric company that works as a subcontractor, or it could be any company, FedEx, truck, doesn't matter. That's different. That's vicarious liability. They are responsible. TNC, Uber, Lyft, under that law and that statute in Florida means they're basically off the hook. You cannot sue them. But they do provide insurance, which will be for the benefit of you if you're in an accident. And again, like I said, this gets very confusing, but there's a big difference. Please reach out to us. We do this all the time. We have accident cases like this. I'm Randall Austin. I've been doing this for over 36 years. Contact Marc L. Shapiro, PA. Go to our website or give us a call. See the number down below. Thanks.